Welcome back to the channel. My name is Steven. I'm a pharmacist and I own 52 units of real estate. So I've been in an interesting rut for the past couple months, and for me, I don't describe it, but I feel very bored recently. And for me, most of my life it's been like constant excitement, right? Like in 2013, I graduated as a pharmacist, and you're excited to be a pharmacist. You're excited to develop your career, start your career, build that foundation. And then, after, 4 years, you're just kind of you feel like you're on autopilot. The job for the most part, healthcare doesn't really change for the most part. Whether you work at different hospitals, whether you work at different settings, after a while, it just feels very routine, right? Like you do something and it just you kind of go on autopilot because your brain is trained to basically save energy, conserve energy. So you kind of feel like you're on autopilot at work. And, after a while you kind of get bored. And for me, I never understood why people who worked at a job for a long time, they get so stressed out so easily. Because I'm just you've worked here for such a long time. You've probably seen 95% of everything that's happening, and there's that 5% thing that's new that maybe you haven't seen before, but you should have the bandwidth to be able to understand that, right? But that's usually not the case in W-2. So for me, I never understood that. For me, at most of my prior jobs, I would get bored after 2 years because I felt like I've learned everything I need to learn, and after that, you're just kind of on autopilot, doing very routine tasks that aren't very stimulating. It's very low level, low energy, kind of very boring stuff. So after I get bored, then I moved up to become pharmacy leader, pharmacy director, right? And now that reinvigorated my excitement. I was excited to do that, learning curve once again. But once you've been doing that for 4 or 5 years, it starts to become repetitive, autopilot, same thing, right? I felt like I've dealt with every issue, seen every issue for the most part. So it's just very routine work, right? It's just very non-stimulating. I go to, you go to work, I don't know how to describe it. If someone were to ask me how my day feels on a scale of 1 to 10, I just feel like I'm always at a 5 or a 6, right? You're just kind of going through the motions, right? You wake up, do a morning routine, do stretches, eat breakfast, go on my commute. I'm gonna listen to a podcast, which I look forward to. But after you listen to the same podcast for a while, you kind of know what they're gonna say before they even say it. And then you get to work. I have to take a shuttle to get to work. And you go to work, and it's the same stuff every day, right? People, call sick at work. You're, putting out fires. People complaining. Just the usual routine stuff, right? And then basically you get home around maybe before 6. And you have about maybe 3 to 4 hours to do something before you go to bed, right? So you prepare dinner, watch some TV, watch some sports, go to the gym, hang out with a friend maybe, and then you're gonna take a shower, go to sleep, and rinse and repeat. So if I look at my week, I look back, I don't even remember what I did at work 3 weeks ago, right? Because you're just kind of on this autopilot type of thing. So for me, once I became a pharmacy director for a while, then I was this is kind of routine. It gets a little boring. So I dived into real estate, head first, right? Bought single family homes, house hacked in California. And then I bought single family homes out of state. Then I bought apartment complexes out of state. So every time I elevated, it created a new level of stimulation, a new level of excitement for me, right? Buying my first house hack was exciting. After I did that a couple of times, buying my first out-of-state property was exciting. After I did that a few times, buying my first multifamily was exciting. After you do that a few times, bought my first mobile home park, right? I did a pharmacy. I had a drop shipping Amazon business that all failed, right? So I felt like I was always constantly chasing this excitement to push myself to see how I grow, right? And I did that to a detriment to where in 2023, I have videos talking about it, but I hit rock bottom, right? I was depressed. I was anxious, low energy because I was just going through the grind, right? I was losing money in my mobile home park. I had to sell it for a loss. I was renovating my 26 unit. I was renovating my 20 unit, right? So literally it's been about a year now since I sold my mobile home park. And literally November of 2023, that's when I sold my mobile home park for a loss. That's when I finished renovating my 26 unit apartment complex. That's when I finished renovating my 20 unit apartment complex. And, at that time, I just I think got offered around that, I think a couple months later, January the next year, I got offered my current job, right? And then once I got offered my job, I was like, you know what? Now that I have a job in an area that I want to be in, like location wise, I started looking for a house. So then I bought this house here, right? And then I got engaged, and then now, once you move into a house, you have to sell into the house, right? You have to, you have to get like things settled, right? You have to buy furniture, put your stuff at certain places. We have to, install like light fixtures and fans, and get your house ready, right? Like it's not, get some TVs and mount the TVs, and then like we're kind of hitting the point now where like, like for me, buying real estate's on autopilot now. Like I could buy another single family home and like feel nothing, right? I can buy another new build in Huntsville, Alabama, feel nothing. I could buy another multifamily, I'd probably feel the same, right? I could, my job at this point, was, learning curve in the beginning, but now you're kind of approaching the point where like it's starting to become more autopilot. Like you know what to expect, not as many surprises that come at you. And, at this level with 11 years of experience, I, for the most part, know what to expect in pharmacy, right? And same with real estate for the most part. Like I've gone through almost every bad situation that I've come across or heard of. I'm sure there's more to come, but like, it's really pretty routine, right? So then I went into like social media and like multifamily coaching and mentorship, right? So I started creating content to learn, but after that, wow, that gets routine too, right? And then I started coaching, and then that gets kind of routine. So, it's interesting when, for me, I've always been like a really fast learner. I've always been a very hands-on learner. So like I'm very like high energy. I would consider myself as high intelligence, and then I have high integrity and high character, because like for me, I have extreme accountability. If I say I do something, I'll actually push it all the way. I always try to be reliable, whether it's at W-2 or at my business, to be like, if I say I do something, I do it, right? If I mess up, I own up to it, right? I'm always looking ahead, being proactive to help people, right? And sometimes when you do that in the W-2 world, if you're proactive, if you're helpful, they might take advantage of you, right? Unfortunately, that's why people stay in their lane, because they don't want to be, taken advantage of, and they don't want to go above and beyond and help people. So, it just really kind of hitting that point where I'm like, man, I feel really bored. Like my real estate portfolio is like stabilized. I'm getting my monthly seller finance payments for my mobile home park. My 26 units pretty stable. It's like renovated. It's 90% occupied. My 20 unit, it's renovated. It's 90% occupied. My single family homes are occupied. I'm stabilized in my house now. I'm used to my new job already. It's been about like 9 months, so I feel like pretty used to it. I know what to expect. I know what, so if you kind of ask me, like I feel like my day is like a 5 to 6 out of 10, right? Like it's very routine, kind of monotonous, right? And why I'm sharing this and being like more vulnerable, as I always am on my channel, I'm like transparent to a fault, and I'm authentic to a fault, right? But for me, I'm like, this is to show somebody, like I own 52 units of real estate. I'm worth $6.2 million now, when I checked my personal capital. And like, I still work at W-2. My lifestyle hasn't really changed that much, right? Like if I want to eat something, I'll eat something. If I want to buy something, I'll buy something, right? Like if there's clothes I like, I'll buy it, right? But I know at this point now, if I buy just new clothes, I have too much clothes now, because I have a big closet now, so I can see all the clothes that I own. And I just realized like, geez, I have so much clothes, and like I don't even wear half the clothes in that closet, right? To be honest, I don't even wear like half of it. So really it's just doing that. So like I know like buying stuff, like it just feels good in the moment, but like, a day or two later, you just feel the same, right? Like it's just like, all these Black Friday sales, like, oh, you feel good, you got a nice pair of shoes for like $20. So you buy like 5 of them, but like after that, you're like, I feel exactly the same. Like my lifestyle hasn't really improved, right? So, I'm kind of hitting this weird stabilization point where like I'm not really growing, but my assets are compounding, right? Like I don't need to do much, but my $1 million stock portfolio is still compounding, right? I get dividends. The dividends are reinvested. It goes up, it goes down through the cycles. I own real estate, right? And the value goes up organically over time. As I increase my rents on my apartments, the values are going up organically over time. And that's just kind of been my, approach to that, right? So like I'm still building wealth despite feeling bored, right? And like I said, if you told me like 3-4 years ago, hey Steven, in 4 years you'd be worth, $6.2 million, you'd have 52 units of real estate, that cash flow $10,000 a month, I'd be like, damn, I'm living like the greatest life ever. But for me, I just feel the same because like I still work at W2, right? So why I'm sharing all this is because I think boredom is part of the equation, right? Like you have to be bored after a period of growth, out of a period of grind, to be able to reflect, to see what you really want to do, right? Like I gotta pause and be like, you know what? Like, do I like real estate, or was I just doing it because I just wanted to retire from my W2 as fast as possible, right? And now that I hit the point where, if I sold off some real estate, I could, pay off this house and wipe out my $5,500 a month mortgage. I could sell the house and then sit on a large sum of money, like, $300,000-$400,000 of just cash, or not cash, but just money in the bank or in a high yield savings account or in a CD account that's highly liquid. And then basically just like not work, right? And just choose what I want to do, right? Whether that's like travel, whether that's just, just work whenever I want to do, right? Whether I just want to learn and grow. So like, I kind of hit this like weird, awkward point because like for me, like people were probably thinking like, oh, why not just retire and like travel? Like by all means, I could do that, right? I'm going to do that, right? Like why not just retire and travel the world and do this? And then, but for me, I'm like, the one variable that's holding me back is that, we're going to have kids in the next probably 2 years, I would say. And then like, how is that going to look? Because our expenses right now, like with just me and my fiance, it's not much, right? But once you have a kid in the equation, now you might have daycare, you might have to, they have cost, right? And when they get older, they have activities. So like our expenditures are going to go up, right? When you go out to eat, now it's for 4 people instead of 2. So, it's harder to save money, right? Up to a certain extent. So that's why I'm trying to build more streams of income, right? Like W2, it's limited, right? Like I hit my ceiling, that's it. So I'm trying to build up my, get money from social media, get money from coaching, get money from mentorship. Eventually I could, become a real estate broker and then get money by selling some homes. But all that takes time to build up and time. So that's why I'm trying to just put my head down and distract myself from my W2 by like, maybe doing social media. Like for me, this is really an escape, right? Like I learned stuff and I want to share what I learned and just want to share my mindset at the time. So, but yeah, I've hit this period of like, and I told him, I was talking to my fiance yesterday, I'm like, man, I'm like so bored. Like I've never felt this bored in like the past like 4 years. It's really weird, right? It's really weird to be still and stagnant, but this is when I can self-reflect and see what I want to do. So I do want to do real estate, right? I do like doing real estate. I do like learning, and I do like sharing what I learned on social media, on YouTube. So yeah, I can see myself doing this for the rest of my life, but I'm in just this awkward phase where like I still have to like go to my W2, still build up my live humbly, still invest the money. I'm trying to save up to buy more real estate, and trying to want to sell off this house as well, right? Or pay off this house so that I don't have to deal with the mortgage. So yeah, it's just this weird, stagnant, boring phase, and that's just the part of growth. I think I grew rapidly, and then now I'm trying to stabilize, and part of that comes with boredom. So anyways, just ranted randomly, sharing whatever feelings off the top of my head, authentically, hopefully. But if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, if you want to buy multifamily real estate with some guidance, check out the mentorship program. Otherwise, please like, comment, subscribe. Hope to see you next one. Thank you so much.